Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Roy here from Woodstock Power again. Today, I wanted to go over generator maintenance and why it's important, some steps that we recommend you to always take, maybe a few things that you forgot about, and things that we do here at Woodstock Power that help us maintain generators that we have in stock for a longer period of time, or generators that we have on the maintenance program. Everything that we do to make sure to increase the longevity of your generator. Let's focus on diesel generators for now. We'll leave natural gas on the side because there's a few things that you want to differently between gas and diesel, but let's focus on diesel generators for now. Diesel generators get dirty. You do oil changes, you have leaks, you have a lot of dirt that accumulates inside and near the generator. A very, very important item for everyone to always make sure that we do is to clean your generator. Clean the inside of your generator, clean the outside of your generator. Obviously make sure that your generator is off. If you have any questions about where you're allowed to put water and what chemicals to use, we'll do another video on that as well. But the main point that I want to make is that anything that should not belong in the generator or near the generator should not be there. You can always inspect for any mice and squirrels or any other insects that are possibly can get inside of the generator, chew up some wires. You can check for any leaks that you see that weren't there before. If you're able to, put pig mats underneath the engine right on top of the base tank and replace them every week or so. Whenever you come out, make sure that there's no new leaks on the pig mats, make sure there's no oil leaks or any diesel leaks or anything like that that wasn't there before. Every time after you do an oil change, or after you get a service done on your machine, make sure that you clean all the spillage, make sure that you clean anything that went over, any items that might have forgotten, any rags, any papers, anything like that that does not belong in there. That is almost always a cause of problems with generators. People forget that keeping generators clean is important, and they just think the generator was just gonna run and operate whenever it needs to, and then issues start. And now you're scrambling, calling your service company, wondering when your generator is going to be up and running. So we've covered the cleaning side. Make sure you keep your generator clean. Another part I wanted to talk about is visual inspection. Now, you don't need to be a professional generator mechanic to give the generator a good visual inspection. And what do I mean by visual inspection? Open the doors, look at any moving part, look towards the electric parts, the breakers, the panels, look on top, make sure that the service guys didn't leave any screwdrivers or any tools anywhere on top. Make sure that the radiator can move freely. Make sure that your coolant levels are correct. Make sure that there aren't any leaks, again, anything that can be any puddles that you might find in your tank. Make sure that there aren't any alarms that weren't there before on the panel. So if you have a remote annunciator sitting somewhere in your mechanical room, I would highly recommend going in there first, making sure that none of the alarms on the remote annunciator are on, and if they are on, obviously attend to those first. Make sure your fuel levels are right. Make sure your oil is right. Pull out the dipstick, just like old school. Take a rag, wipe it down, put it back in. Make sure you got good oil levels. Oil should always be clear. The darker the oil is, the longer it's been there, the longer it's been operating. It's always better to have clear oil. We recommend on standby machines every about 200 to 250 hours. Again, depends on application, the size of the generator, the manufacturer. To do a full service on the machine. So make sure that it hasn't been about 250 hours since your last service. Make sure that the generator is ready to go. So anything that you can see that can eventually hurt it or affect it negatively, make sure you inspect first. Just like anything else, generators have a starter that work on batteries. Batteries are very important to maintain the starter, the control panel, the block heaters, the battery chargers, everything else that goes into the machine on low voltage and to start the generator. Batteries not being charged or having low voltage is the #1 cause of failure for generators to start. Always make sure that your batteries are charged, that your battery charger is connected and operating. If you don't have a battery charger, disconnect the negative and the positive off of your batteries when you're not using the generator. Connect them back again when you are. Always recommend, especially in the wintertime, again, it depends where you live and the temperatures in the area, always recommend to have an extra set of batteries on hand, just in case your other ones go dead. You can always replace them and have your power back and won't have to rely on charging them back again. And from there on out, the next issue will be what we call your common alarms. So common alarms are generally set within the control panel to control the operation of the generator. And one way to control the operation of the generator is to not start it when certain alarms are on. Some of those alarms might be low fuel. If your fuel is low or it's getting low, again, some generators are set to different ranges, your generator is not going to start. If you have low coolant level, your generator is not going to start. If you have low coolant temperature, most of the time, if you have a common alarm within your generator, that generator is not going to start. If you have any open communication wires, you might get a communication alarm. You might get a overspeed or an underspeed or a low voltage alarm. Always make sure your alarm log is clear. There aren't any previous alarms that you have to handle. And that whenever the generator starts, there's nothing that will cause it to then shut down. So it is recommended that you run your generator at least once a week for about 20 to 40 minutes. A lot of the time, if you have your generator connected to your facility and it has a transfer switch, it's already programmed to run on a weekend or overnight at some point for about 30 to 45 minutes. Again, depends on the size and the location. But what that does, it cycles the fluids throughout the generator. It cycles the engine, it cycles the generator, it cycles the radiator, make sure that all the parts are working correctly, and make sure that if anything needs to be adjusted, anything needs to be known of, like the alarms, will come up during that time and not when you actually need the generator to run. Another thing that's very, very important is what we call a major service. And during a major service, what we're doing is a load bank, just like we've discussed in previous videos. And a load bank is something that we recommend doing at least once every 3 months on a generator, especially in critical applications, a lot more often than that. But if the application is not as critical, you can do that every 3 months. And make sure that you get your generator load bank tested. Make sure that you do it for about an hour or 2 hours. Get the generator all to temperature, get the engine to temperature, make sure that the coolant is all working, the oil is circulating. Typically any problems that would arise with the generator arise during a load bank test, when the generator is pushing power and when it's actually being used, not just running without a load bank on it. So that's a good way to discover any issues. So service every 250 hours or so is what we recommend. Load bank every 3 months or so. And obviously your weekly start of the generator, let it run for about 30 minutes. Make sure it gets cycle, make sure it stays healthy. And that should give you a good idea on a weekly to a monthly base of where your generator is situated and its condition overall inside and out. Another trick I will tell you is that's something that a lot of service companies use, and it's very simple. Keep a logbook in each generator. Every time you do any service, every time you do any replacement, whether it be batteries, if you're adding coolant, if you're adding oil, if you found a leak, whatever it may be, log the date, the time, and what you saw. That way you're creating a logbook of history on a machine, and it's much easier to detect where an issue started, how it developed from there, and what needs to be done to address that issue versus just going out and starting to guess and checking for everything to get to that point. So always keep a log of everything that you find, record it. If there's anything that you see that might be suspicious to you, anything that you see that might be affecting the generator's performance, call your service company, make sure that they come out, look at your generator, make sure that they address anything that needs to be done to it. So when you really need the power, it's ready there for you to go. So in summary, maintaining your generator is very, very important for the operation of the generator whenever you really need power. If you're not sure, if you don't have the time to inspect it and maintain it, make sure you sign a service contract with a service company, and they're going to come out to your facility and service your generator every, again, 250 hours or so. They have set times throughout the year where they do the load bank, the service and everything, and let them handle it. It's worth whatever the amount of money is that they charge for you to actually have your generator operating and giving you the backup power when you really need it. The last thing you want to do is spend all the money to get a generator installed in your facility and not be able to use it when you really need to. So maintenance is the number one most important part of the generator to make sure that it's operational and it maintains its value, and just you get the full benefit out of what you paid for. Again, if you have any questions regarding anything generator related, any videos that you'd like to see, any suggestions that you have for us, please reach out to us via email, comment on our YouTube, send us an Instagram, DM, Twitter, TikTok, we're everywhere. Looking to see you in the next video. Till next time, have a good day.